Hello and welcome to Early Late Nights with me, Ciaran Marchant. This is the show that your mum said you could watch. Tonight we have a fantastic lineup of topics ranging from the eSports wrap-up, Ubisoft's war on hate speech and that kind of thing in Rainbow Six Siege. We have the debate of the week, which will be full of debate, discussion. We'll see what you have at the end of it. And also the 60-second Media Madness. I am Ciaran Marchant. This is the Explosion Network's brand new news show, Early Late Nights, with me, Ciaran Marchant. I said it before. What a fantastic show. I know, I'm already in it. I'm slightly biased. And, you know, things have got to go. Things have got to stay the same. So we are going to kick off with our very first topic ever. Wow, very first story this week. I'm in a newsroom. Ha-ha! Look how cool I am. But we will begin with an interesting thing I noticed the last week or so, because we had Detroit Become Human, the PS4 exclusive, finally drop a release date. Its release date will be March 25th. That's by Quantic Dream, and it made me think of an interesting occurrence that's happened, because just before that, at the end of February, we had God of War drop its release date, which will be April 20th, so that's, you know, a month apart for these two. That's, you know, Sony exclusives, you know, coming out pretty hot and fast now. But why? After all this time, why? Like, we've had months and months and months of the gaming audience begging, and I mean begging, to see what the show can, like, what release dates there are for 2018. So we can understand, you know, is this going to be a big release date? Do we have, you know, something better coming out? Can we plan around it? But no, nothing. We've had nothing until, you know, the last 2 weeks. And I think I know why. And I think we should all know why. It's because Red Dead Redemption 2 got an announced release date, finally. And in my opinion, I think gaming studios were waiting for this. They were waiting for Red Dead Redemption to come back and say its release date, so they could plan around that. So it's, you know, not going to Rockstar do the unthinkable and randomly, like, boom, March release date. Fuck it, we're doing this. And, you know, that could kill a game, as we saw with Tomb Raider a couple years ago when it went against Fallout 4, released the same day, and it went to die. God damn you, Microsoft. Please don't do that ever again. It just frustrates the living bejesus out of me. I wish they didn't do that to video games. I really wish they didn't do it. Why would you do that? Why do you feel the need to? You know, understand that games are big and feel okay to change the release date. But I reckon in the next couple of weeks we will see more and more of these come to pass. We will see more release dates coming. We will find out more about what 2018 has for us in the likes of release dates in gaming, and that's because Red Dead Redemption got itself out of the way. On to our second topic of the week, which is eSports. We go to the eSports wrap-up for this week. Now, eSports is going to be a big part of this show. I'm going to make sure I cover as much eSports once a week, every week as I can, diving into it, finding out from various different games. If you have a game you want me to talk about in the eSports wrap-up, tweet at me at your boy Ringo or at Explosion Pod. I'd love your feedback. I'd love to incorporate what you want to see in this show. Now, I'm going to start off with a bit of a downer, a bit of a down point. Once again, Dallas Fuel of the Overwatch League have got themselves into a bit of hot water. Well, not them, one of their players, because if you didn't hear or couldn't remember, back in early January, XQC, one of their tank players, got them in a bit of hot water after he used a homophobic slur on stream, and there was another incident that happened, which resulted in him getting a $2,000 fine and like a 4-week suspension from the Overwatch League, I think, which was crazy. And, you know, we thought, okay, that's fair enough. XQC is a pretty divisive member of the audience, of the pro scene. Many people think he's salty, others are fans. He's a character. You know, we love characters in any sport. But now it's come out that Tai Mu, one of the other tank players in late January, was seen using racial slurs. Again, not racial slurs, homophobic slurs, in streaming, which was immediately reported to Blizzard. According to ESPN, Dallas Fuel didn't even know about it until ESPN questioned them on Friday, asking for more information on the incident, so Dallas Fuel will be going further into it. It's not something that's acceptable. It's not acceptable at all, and I really hope Blizzard come forward. It has been January, it was like January 28th, I believe, when this incident was reported. So I'm a bit disappointed, and I hope they move and do something about it, because players should be held responsible. They are, they're role models on a global scale for people and teenagers playing these games, even adults playing these games, and they need to be held accountable on their streams. If that means Blizzard has to get involved and say, you're a part of the Overwatch League. There was another player for the London Spitfire, I believe it was Profit, did what was called an obscene gesture while on Strange, was fined $1,000. So I really hope in the next coming days or in the next week we see more on this Time Move story, and I'll bring it to you if I can see any more, to get more information from Blizzard and hopefully hear more from them as to what's going on. But moving on to some lighter stuff with Overwatch League, it has been a fantastic week 2 of Stage 2 last week. Seoul Dynasty is continue to crush it. They continue to lay waste to anything in their path, really smash through the competition. There's been some fantastic games involving the Houston Outlaws. Dallas Fuel have been interesting again. Los Angeles Gladiators. Shanghai Dragons, once again, still poor, still, not operating to the best of their ability, but I think they've got some hope. They're waiting on some visa issues at the moment, for they have contracted the first female player in the Overwatch League, which I am quite excited about. I'm excited to see how that team can kind of come up and push further into the games and hopefully evolve. It's an interesting time in the Overwatch League, considering many of the players, many of the organizations are still growing and finding their position. We had Philadelphia Fusion, which was a middle-of-the-road team last stage, has really gotten to their own because they've found a new Genji player called Ego, who's fantastic to watch, and a really good influence for the team, and how he moves forward and actually plays more with the team. So I'm excited for week 3 of Stage 2 Overwatch League this week. We will have more information on that on Friday for our second show this week, highlighting some of the more important games coming out for the week in Stage 2, Week 3. And finally, for our last bit of esports news, over to Counter-Strike. There was the fantastic IEM Katowice, I think I'm saying that right, probably not. The fantastic event that happened, which came down to the grand final between Fnatic and FaZe, and it was a bloody slugfest, if I was going to say. If the old words of JR King Ross, not King Ross. King Ross, who the fuck? Jim Ross. I've been watching too much Cultaholic. Jim Ross, it was a slobber knocker. The two teams went to the wire pretty much. It was 5 maps. I think it was 159 rounds, and there was 7 hours of gameplay for Counter-Strike, with Fnatic edging out the win within the last map. It was quite crazy. Some of the highlights was the back and forth. It was a fairly even game the whole way through. My favourite moment was Guardian from FaZe 1v5ing Fnatic, which was freaking ridiculous. And just, more for these events. The image I've got of the stadium, which you can see in the thumbnail of this video, is quite... It's massive, and the scale of things, and it excites me. Looking at the Overwatch League stadium, looking at the Dota 2 international stadiums, it is exciting to see the scale that these things are going to, and the signs that esports is growing rapidly. I'm very excited for that. So please, make sure, keep in track. Maybe get into esports with me talking about it, twice a week, every week. Probably not twice a week, probably once a week. But, keep an eye out for it. If you love a game and you want to see more, PlayerUnknown just started their esports scene with that crazy... I don't know if anybody saw the images of it. There was like a crazy stadium where it was like a long line, and down the line was like teams on either side, but then also they were like double stacked, so there was like 2 levels of teams, which I thought looked crazy. So it's really nice to see the amount of energy being put in place, the amount of characters we're coming to see in different esports, and the growth of esports, even here in Australia with... I can't even remember the name of the organisation that's actually coming up here and putting in more and more effort into the Australian scene, especially for Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike is doing great things. ESL is the organisation I'm thinking of. With the ESL tournaments coming up soon for Counter-Strike, we will be on the ball with those. So keep sticking here on Early Late Nights if you want to hear more esports news. Now, story number 3. The third story. Rainbow Six Siege. What a fantastic game this has been. I remember when this first came out, Rainbow Six was, known as that. It was like 6. It got like 6s. And the game was not enjoyable for multiplayer fans, not enjoyable for single-player fans. It was still finding its feet. And now, at this point on, I think it's almost 2 years now, at this point on, we have found a fantastic game with, Ubisoft really supporting this game, putting time in, putting effort in, adding new characters, adding new game modes, new maps, which is exciting. But this week we had what I think was really exciting news, was that Ubisoft has come out and will now instate bans for anybody using a form of hate speech, which I think is fantastic. Racism, homophobia, that kind of thing just has no place in video games, and I hate that it has a place in video games, especially online multiplayers. So it is fantastic to see that a big organisation like Ubisoft are coming out, sticking to their guns and really fighting for what they want and what they deserve. It's quite crazy. Finally, the bans scale from, depending on what you did, scale from like a day to a year, which I'm interested to see how many years are enforced, like how many people are given a year's ban from the game. Which, could be could be the game's lifespan. You could be banned for the game's, major lifespan, and that, don't do it. Remember, in multiplayer games, everybody in this is trying to play together. We're trying to make a good environment for video games, and I hope, everybody wants to have fun. Everybody just wants to enjoy the game. Please, just give them a minute. Be nice to somebody. Be positive. Being positive in multiplayer games is the best thing you can do for that game, because no matter how many salty people, you'll make somebody's day better. And that's what we want here. Now, each week, we're going to be, once a week, we're going to be debating. Well, not really. It's an interesting, different type of debate. It's going to be more of a discussion for me, where I'm going to bring you two sides of an argument. And I want, throughout the rest of the week, I want you to, come to me on Twitter, to, jump in our Twitch chat and talk to us after the show. Really get into the game and really understand and get into the debate of it. This week's debate is going to be first-party games versus third-party games and where they sit for our future. Because we had an interesting thing that prompted me to think about this week. Recently, Sony put out a statement to say that they were restructuring their organizations to give more support and emphasis on first-party games, which I completely agree with in many ways. And, how does that make anybody feel about who are third-party producers? Because in the recent period of time, in the recent gaming generation, myself as an Xbox fanboy, and I'm not, I still play everything, but I support Xbox and Microsoft probably more than I do Sony. It's interesting to see how much change there is and how much difference we're getting now with first-party games, because Xbox is the land of just utter, oh my goodness, nothing. We've got, other than, Sea of Thieves, Crackdown 3, which has been coming up forever, our, first-party exclusives are next to none at the minute. We've got no Halo on the horizon. We've got no Gears of War on the horizon. It's a bit of a poor sight now to see it. So, and, looking across the road at Sony, who are Mr. First Party and Mr. Exclusives, where they're like, we're going to come out and we're going to really give the world what they want. Give the world these, highly anticipated kind of grown sauces. Sauces? Not tomato, not barbecue, no. Grown games! Grown IPs that are cultivated for their audiences, that are really, fine-tuned and perfect and cinematic. It's ridiculous for me to sit there and look at it and, watch games like Horizon Zero Dawn come out and how amazing they are. Nintendo are the biggest first-party people. They're really, they've got Zeldas, they've got Mario, they've got a whole catalogue of first-party games that support the system. Nintendo are the argument for first-party games. Yeah, let's just go with them, because if you jumped on board for the Nintendo Wii, Nintendo Wii U, Nintendo have been the biggest, until recently with the Switch, the biggest fuck you third-party gamers. We're just screwing around. We're just fucking around with our first-party games. I don't care about you. If you want to bring one, yeah, come on then. Jump on, be, poorly supported and have terrible controls and no 30 parties? 30 parties. No third party wants to come in to a system where they're not supported, a system where they're not given the time of day to really grow and take use. So we ended up getting lots of third-party equivalent games that are just terrible and dire and just not good at what they do. Lots of the first parties that we know about are fantastic and are loved, but they take a very long time to come out. And, they've got to cultivate them, and the ecosystem that they're in is very intensive, very large. And third-party games drive the gaming world. And that's the truth of it. Third-party games are always there, and they're always coming out. If you didn't have your Call of Duties, if you didn't have Bethesda making Fallouts and Wolfenstein, if you didn't have GTA 5, which I picked because I think it's the biggest effing third-party game in the world, which of course it is. It's been topping goddamn records and charts, or been in the charts since it came out. That's ridiculous. The support that game's got, the effort people are putting into that game for GTA Online is ridiculous, and these consoles need them. These consoles truly need to learn and need to see them in many ways, because, they're not going to have enough first-party games to support themselves. They're not going to have as many first-party games to continue pushing up and going further with the market. So a lot of people are probably going to be first-party orientated. First party. Yeah, first party. I said it right. There's so many parties that there's first and third party, but there's so many parties that are having a party. Hey, ho, hey, ho. You don't want to know that. But there's so many first party games now that are coming out, and we love them and we want them and we strive for them, like Detroit, like Horizon, but we can't live without third-party games. We can't. So what should what should developers do? What should these console owners do? Should they be, supporting the life cycles and giving more support to third-party creators? Do we need, we've seen in past where Sony has come on board with PlayStation. Sony is PlayStation. God damn it, Ciaran. Sony has come on board with Activision for Call of Duty and made sure Call of Duty has a special home on PlayStation. Freaking hell. The PlayStation 4's, starting life cycle was riding on third-party games. Sony has so much to be thankful for third-party games and their place on the PlayStation 4, because when that console first came out, it had nothing. Nada. It had Knack. Yeah, Knack. And a couple others, but it wasn't anything huge. So, when we eventually did get more of the first-party games, we appreciated it, but third parties carried the ship. Third parties carried the team forward. And that's what we want to see. That's what we desperately want to see is, third-party games having their home on our consoles. We're going to have Red Dead Redemption 2, and it looks like Sony's in bed with them as well, and that's, an excellent move. We're in an ecosystem where one cannot live without the other. Not really. We're going to have, times where first-party games are, they're something truly special. They are something truly special in the world because they are curated to what we want. They are designed for what we need most of the time. But we know that not every game can be a first-party exclusive. They can't. We need the third-party games to hold the fort, to carry on. I need to be able to debate and say, God damn you, Call of Duty fanboys! Stop it! Stop! Because, it's not what we need anymore. It's not what we need to, choose one or the other. We need both of them. And Sony crafting their organization to care more about first parties is going to be an interesting twist to see if, maybe that helps Microsoft. Maybe that positions the third parties to want to, sign on. But Microsoft, as we know, have a terrible fucking job at cultivating these first party exclusives that they not first parties, thirds, Tomb Raider. They got Tomb Raider to be an exclusive, a timed exclusive of that, but they still got it to be an exclusive, and then they, as I said earlier, put it out to die against Fallout 4. Put it out to die, so when it did come to PlayStation, it did really well because of that. Because it had bombed. It looked like it did amazingly well on PlayStation. So, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please tweet at me, at your boy Ringo. Please have a conversation, chat amongst yourselves about it. I want to see discussion about this debate, because where the gaming world is going, we need to be able to really dive into it, really see what's going on, and hopefully the console creators really support both sides, because we do need both for the benefit of our community, because we're being greedy. Fuck it, we're being greedy. We want more games. Give us more games. And that's where I'm going to leave the debate this week. So hopefully on Friday, we'll probably announce a winner. Probably won't. This one, I think, is a bit of an even match for me. So I want to hear more. What do you prefer? More first-party games? More third-party games? Do we need more support for third-party? Do we need just more support for first-party? Tell me which is your favorite console. I'd love to hear from you. We can discuss a little bit more on Friday. Now, let us discuss the Explosion Network, because that's why we're here. I'm a member of the Explosion Network. If you didn't know, if you did know, or if you got here without knowing I'm a member of the Explosion Network, well done. Well done to you. But I'm a member of the Explosion Network, and we've had a big week this week on Explosion Network. We have announced our Year 2 lineup, which included this damn show. This one right here that you're listening to or watching, participating in right now is happening for you, and it is exciting. So this is Early Late Nights with me, Ciaran Marchant, each and every week, 2 times a week at 6:30 Australian Eastern D time. I don't know what the D stands for, people. Well, 6:30 on twitch.tv/Explosion Network. Live, I'll be hanging out in chat afterwards to chill out, talk, really dive into the things, and then jump into a stream afterwards. If you can't make it for a live show, for whatever reason, 24 hours later, the show will be up on all good podcasting services and on YouTube. If you haven't, I would advise you, go to our Twitter. Go to our Twitter, jump in at Explosion Pod, and have a look. Have a nice long look at all of our new shows. There's a new sexy announcement trailers for everything. We're all pretty. We've gone a bit of a metamorphosis. We went from... This is the crazy thing. We've been going with the Explosion Network for 2 years. And if you're a new viewer, welcome. How are you? What's going on? You're looking pretty good today. But we went from 2 shows to 7. And I am so excited. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time for the next couple shows highlighting one of our new shows and really going into it and not being greedy and just talking about my own show. So this one is one of the shows I'm most excited about that I'm not involved with. Actually, I lie. I'm super involved with it so far. But tomorrow at 3 p.m, Top 5 with Nick will be beginning. And it is a fantastic seasonal show that I am so happy exists. If you've been a listener of Pleasure Explosion, you will know that a highlight of our calendar is when Nick hosts and he comes in with the most random and bizarre top 5 you could think of. And the members of the network had to, sit down and think about it. What did it mean for them? What did they believe would be the best outcome? Or what we believe is their top 5? for a whole range of things. So at the minute, this season is all about gaming. All about gaming. There's going to be talk about peripherals, about first-person shooters, about ships, about lots of crazy things. Maybe even platforms, and who else knows? I probably should know if I looked somewhere. But the fact is, Nicholas Pryor is one of the most genuine and straightforward people I've ever met. And the fact that he has this top 5 show is fantastic. You get once a fortnight for the next, 10 fortnights. Once a fortnight, you get a lovely little package of Lord and Pryor Nicholas Pryor himself. Tweet at him, at Lord and Pryor. If you are a big fan of him, tweet at him and ask him for some hot cross buns. He'd love some. Have a couple. Just offer him some. Maybe send him some pictures. He would be so enthralled with your hot cross buns. It would be a fantastic idea. And I'm excited to check it out and see what happens and what those top 5s are. And if you saw the trailer, there is sections where Dylan breaks Nick, where the conversation dives down alleys, and it's brought up a lot of things I have not thought about in a very long time, which I find very exciting and very fun to be a part. So please download it tomorrow. Top 5 with Nick. It is a fantastic opportunity to really jump in there, hang out, chat, and really explore these top 5s. And send us your top 5s once you hear the episode. We'd love to hear it. Now, for the final segment of the show, and I'm going to wrap up in a second, but after my wrap up, there is going to be 60-second media madness. There is so much news in a week. So much news that I could not cover it in a half an hour show. So what we're going to do, at the end of every show, I'm going to count myself down with 60 seconds, and I'm going to see how much of that news I can get through. I've got a nice long list of headlines for me to read, and quickly see if I can give you a good enough little bit of advice, a good enough little bit of talking that will really, bring everything about. Maybe, if you have a story you want me to talk about and see what kind of mess I can make of it, tweet it at me before. Tweet it at me by Sunday or Thursday, and I'll include it in the Monday or Friday video. Or I might include it later, because I'll probably need filler, because sometimes we'll have a slow news week, and that's fine. This has been Explosion Network's Early Late Nights with me, Ciaran Marchant, the very show that's going to let you go to bed before Prime Possum tells you. Thank you for joining me here on twitch.tv/Explosion Network. I'm going to be live again Friday, 6:30 Australian AEDT time. I'm going to say it like that from now on. Thank you for coming to hang out with us tonight. If you didn't get to hang out, but you're going to check it out, please make sure you go to all podcast services on 24 hours later. It's probably about 6:30 on a Wednesday and 6:30 on a Saturday. Download the show again, listen to it back. Tell me what you think. Involve. I want you to be involved with this show as much as possible. So please tweet at me, yell at me. I'm going to be in Twitch chat afterwards and playing games afterwards, so please hang out, talk to me, tell me what's going on. But now, 60 seconds of media madness. Are you ready? I said, are you ready? I am not making time for me to quickly give myself a little bit of my notage on here. Okay, ready, set, go. Okay, the first story of the week is going to be that goodbye PS Vita and PS3 as of March 2019. Good luck with those things. They will no longer be part of PS Plus, which means that is the death of those systems. Good luck to both of them. I don't know how many more games they're even going to have to put out for those, so good luck. Also, Dark Knight, the Batmobile in Rocket League. It comes out today. Go join in. Jump in on Rocket League. Download the Batmobile. It's the Dark Knight Batmobile, so it's a tank. Maybe it turns into a motorbike. I highly doubt it, though. Far Cry 5 is coming March 27th. That is in a couple weeks' time. There's going to be reviews, previews coming out for it soon. So make sure you keep following that. I hear the multiplayer is going to suck, but that's fine. Bloodborne is out for PS Plus. The communities are now jumping out in awe for the game. I'm excited. I am so happy to hear it and see it. But that is fine. Overwatch Season 9 began last Thursday. It's going to be full of competitive goodness and lots of things, and I'm going to run out of time, and it's okay, and goodbye!